We're here at Space 2008 with Randy Chang of Bodega Distribution, the publisher of Daybreak by Brian Ralph, one of this year's Day Prize nominees. Randy, thank you for joining us here.
My pleasure.
Okay, could you tell us a little bit about your company, Bodega?
Well, I guess we started. I used to work for High Water Books in Tom Devlin, and when Tom decided to stop publishing, he passed on a lot of the High Water stock to me, and I used it to start Bodega Distribution, which was initially a vehicle to distribute the books that Tom wasn't able to sell, and then for me to pick up other new books that I was interested in, and then eventually I just got into publishing.
Okay, what kind of books do you seek to put out through your company, Bodega? Is there sort of like a house style or a goal behind the company?
Right now, my concern is mostly publishing stuff that I like,
Sure.
personally, and then this sort of style and sensibility of the books that we do, I guess, is something I feel like would just happen naturally.
Cool. Have you been a long-time comic book reader?
Yes, all my life.
Yeah. What got you into comics originally? What did you cut your teeth on?
I cut my teeth on Spider-Man and Batman, and going to the supermarket with Mom and hanging out in front of the shoebox at the bookstore next to the ShopRite.
But I think that you've expanded your horizons a bit.
Yes, no,
I didn't see many capes in Bodega.
Well, that's how it started, and then eventually I was into it enough to go to school for it, and that quickly expanded what I was reading. When I was at SVA for cartooning, I got into Chris Ware and Kachalka and Klaus, and it kind of just developed into like this thing where it's hard to read superhero comics now.
Sure. No, a lot of our listeners know the feeling.
Sure, of course.
Of course, not to say anything wrong with it.
No, from time to time, I got the.
And it does at least make you dig a little bit more for the quality instead of just taking whatever they throw you.
I have been reading the Hulk DVD.
Yeah.
They've been doing that thing where they compile the entire, however many issues on the DVD, and that's interesting.
Sure. Some classic stuff on there.
I love those first issues. Those are my favorite.
And they even have like the
six.
ads and everything. And I don't mean to. I'm plugging something I probably shouldn't be, but it's an amazing thing. They have the ads for like all like the muscle pills and X-ray glasses, and then just like the original, because they're actually just like scanned pages, and I think it's incredible.
Sure. So now, Daybreak was a Day Prize nominee this year.
Yes.
What brought Daybreak to the Bodega stable?
I met Brian when I was working with Tom through High Water maybe 6 years ago at SPX for the first time, and he's the nicest guy in the world. And then when I started Bodega, Brian was posting Daybreak strips online on the new Bodega blog, and he expressed an interest in publishing it, and I said, yeah, let's fucking do it. I wish it was a more interesting story. I was like, yeah, let's go. Daybreak book.
So it was just his work just appealed to you instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was familiar with it before from working with Tom.
Well, what did you like about it? Was it the sex or the violence?
Like, this is actually, I just came to this conclusion like an hour ago talking about it with Dylan Williams at Sparkplug, and we were just trying to figure out why Brian's work is so easy to sell. How it just you just put it on the table and people just pick it up immediately. And I think there's a certain accessibility to the way he draws.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's just immediate. It's
even the wordless comics like Caven. There's just like an instant narrative flow as soon as you open up 2 pages. And you're already in.
Absolutely.
Like within a page, you're locked.
And Dylan said something really smart, which he was actually quoting somebody else who I forget now. But stuff like Brian is actually easier to read than to not read. Does that make any sense? It did when he said it.
In an existential way, yes.
Yes. It is and it isn't.
Yeah.
It is easier to exist than to not exist.
Maybe that should just go in the file with conversations that you have after you've been standing behind a table.
I know what you mean, because it's an apocalyptic end of the world type story, and it's kind of cheerful.
Yeah, and it's, you know,
you just buzz through it.
Yeah,
you know?
it's
like
super,
a kid playing
super
in
easy.
a world of death.
But it's having fun.
And there's still some mystery to it too, because you really don't quite know what's going on yet.
Yes.
So it doesn't lay it all out on the table and say, this is the story, these are the characters, and let's just watch it play out. There's definitely a build-up happening.
Yes.
So.
What about in terms of the format of the Bodega books? Are you looking to publish monthlies or bi-monthlies, or are you geared more towards the graphic novel?
It's definitely more. I'm not opposed to doing saddle stitched, Service Industry was staple bound. One of our more recent books, and I'm totally doing stuff like that. But I can't see myself doing, in terms of a regular book like Daybreak, anything more than once a year, because it's, as of yet, Bodega still isn't a full-time job for me. I still have a job on the side, so it's more of like a side project, and there just isn't enough time to publish more than like 3 or 4 books a year.
Sure.
What about in the promotional end? It's so much a factor of not enough time to publish it all, or it seems like you have, on the back wall, it seems like you have an awful lot of product already. Have you thought about other ways to promote?
How many different books are you handling right now? How many different creators?
Well, in terms of the publishing end, it's Brian, Dave Kirsch, Casimir for Morningstar, and T. Edward Bach for Service Industry. So just the 4. So it's not that many, I guess. 4 guys.
Sure.
Okay. It's a small stable of artists.
Yeah.
But they all have more than one book out. So.
Yes.
It seemed like there were a lot of books on that table.
A lot of it is stuff that's where the distribution part of the company name comes in, I guess, because a lot of it's from Highwater, a lot of it's from Picture Box because they couldn't make it to the show. A lot of it's from Conundrum Press, some friends of ours from Montreal that don't.
Yeah, there's a Julie Doucette book on your table too.
Yes, right? Yeah, that's Dan's from Picture
And I
Box.
saw Syncopated by Brendan.
Syncopated. Brendan is another friend of mine in New York that couldn't make it to the show, so it's a sort of thing where we don't do a whole lot of shows, but we do enough so that when we meet people and we like their books and we find that they can't make it to the show, we'll just say, we'll put it on the table.
Sure. What cons are you going to this year?
We're gonna do HeroCon in Mocha next. I forget which one comes first, and then SPX, maybe Ape. That's still kind of up in the air, and then Expo in Montreal.
Great. And if people are looking for Bodega books on the net, where do they go?
BodegaDistribution.com.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to speak to us.
Oh, my pleasure. This was fun.
Great luck on your company.
Yeah. This is my first radio interview.